All right, well, welcome to our monthly Power Hour. This is something that we do once a month, the first Wednesday of every month. It's absolutely free, and this is, basically international. We have had people on here from Canada too, so I can officially say international now. We do this training as professional development for people. Most of our trainings are geared towards leadership positions, but there's really a lot to learn, even if you're not in a current leadership position. So we just encourage people to hop on here and just get some free information. And then ideally, if they say, hey, I really like that, or my team could, really benefit from that training, we actually do full trainings on these subjects for your organization and for your team. So if you're interested in doing the full training, because we're only going to give you, some snippets in these 1 hour sessions, a little bit of information. If you want the full training, just however you register for this training, just go through that same contact and they can hook you up with the full training. And this month, we're going to talk about project benefits realization. It is starting to become a standard part of project management, but it still requires project managers to go above and beyond and think outside the box to really deliver benefits. And we'll talk about what benefits are. And the benefits, project benefits, are really something that can be gained through projects, programs, or portfolios. And we'll talk for a second about what those are. So you may have seen me on here doing trainings in the past, but I am a professional or project management professional. I'm a PMP. I've been doing project management for more than a decade now. And I've been training on project management since, for about 3 years at least. And project benefits realization is kind of a value-added service, which of course value-added is the key word today. The value-added service to managing projects. The issues are that project managers are already so burdened by what they have to do and the fact that they have to deliver projects successfully with very little support, that tacking benefits realization onto this is a real challenge for them. So we're going to talk about how to do it, how to identify benefits, and how to do it, but also how organizations can help support this from project managers. Okay, so first things first. So portfolios, projects, and programs, there are 3 different sizes. Which one do you think is the smallest of these? And you can put your answers in the chat box, or you can do it audibly if you'd like. It's just what you think. You don't have to know. Well, we got 3 different answers, so that is good. The smallest of these is a project. Here's what it looks like in an organization. The organization, everything that the organization does from a project standpoint falls within a portfolio. Within that portfolio, you might have programs, and then under each of those programs are projects that are related that fall under the program umbrella. If you're in a manufacturing organization, one of your programs might be, let's say you work for Ford Motor Company. One of your programs might be to design and build the new Bronco coming out. Okay, so that would be a program. The projects under that program would be, okay, we need a new body style, so we need a body design. We need a new engine. We need what frame are we going to use? That's another project. We need to know the exhaust system. Every component, major component of that vehicle is going to be a project under that program of delivering the new Ford Bronco. Okay, so that's just one example. Another example, let's say I work for an energy company and that company is just diversifying its energy options. So program 1 on this slide might be traditional energy options like coal and fossil fuels. Program 2 could be solar energy, and maybe program 3 is wind energy. Each of them will have related projects under them. As an example, under program 1, the traditional energy option, we might have a project to reduce pipeline leakage. Another project might be to conduct an environmental study on the impact of transporting coal in open air containment units. So they're related projects under one program, and all the programs and projects fit under the organization's portfolio. It's everything that the organization offers. Okay, so here's just another quiz for you. What percent of projects fail, do you think? Well, I can tell you one of you got it right. Believe it or not, 75% of projects fail. The definition of project failure means that it either goes over budget, it goes over schedule, so we miss our deadlines, or they don't deliver what they promise. Like we have a scope, a project scope, and it says we're going to deliver these, deliverables, and for some reason we don't do it, or we don't meet the quality standards that we said we would. We're just not fulfilling our promises. There's a lot of pressure on project and program managers to deliver successful projects. So we have to provide them with the right project management structure and framework to give them a fighting chance. This includes giving them project management policies and procedures, document templates, software, and other tools that are going to help them deliver project success. It could include giving them the proper training, and it could also include making executive support for projects more visible. It's not such a struggle for project managers to get collaboration. There's a lot of people in regular positions doing project management work. It's kind of almost a new standard where when you go into an organization, whether you're an HR person, you could be somebody working in the finance department, you could be somebody working on an assembly line. There's an expectation that you're going to be responsible for one or more aspects of a project without giving you the proper training. Typically, you're not going to say, hey, you're going to start managing projects, here's some training for you. Typically it won't be volunteered to you. You have to request the training or do it on your own. Take the initiative to get trained. So this is another reason that projects fail too. We are putting people in charge of projects and project parts of projects, and we're not providing them with the proper training to do that. Being a lot of pressure on people that don't have the skill set to do it. And some of the other things I mentioned, are we giving them the proper software to use? Are we giving them the proper tools? Are we using the proper templates for them? So because of all the existing demands on project and program managers, and remember there's a lot of people that don't even have those titles that are working on projects, we have to make sure that they have the structure, framework, tools they need before we ask them to tack on benefits realization management on top of everything that they have to do. Okay, so I wanted to say that before getting into benefits realization management, because you should not expect your project managers to not have this framework and structure in place and also deliver project benefits realization because it's just impossible to do. So what is a project benefit? Usually in projects, we create benefits without even realizing that we do. And when the project is over, the benefits that were created get tossed aside because nobody was paying attention to that. There are things that occur during the project that we can learn from. It can be long-lasting benefits that we have to watch out for and capitalize on, or even make happen. And we need to follow that through and continue that process, because we are losing a lot of benefit when we aren't paying attention, okay? And some of those examples of benefits that I'm talking about include the items that you see here on the screen. When you're looking at the different projects that we do, typically for many companies, your projects are either customer projects, a customer is paying you for a particular service, or it's your own internal projects. It could be an R&D department where you're trying to find new ways to enter the market, or it could be, hey, we're going to replace all of our printers with this new printer. That alone is a project. It's easier to identify the benefits of internal projects than it is customer-facing projects. But here's an example, or here are the examples. Sometimes one of the benefits that comes from delivering a successful project is simply to increase customer satisfaction for that particular customer, or maybe it was an organizational wide change that you made that increases customer satisfaction for all your customers. Great. That's a benefit. Now, how are you going to capitalize on that? Are you going to develop a new marketing campaign around these new customer satisfaction numbers, or around this new service that you're providing that's increasing the customer satisfaction? Let's look at increased productivity. One project alone, let's say you're installing new equipment. Well, that's an internal project technically, but new equipment might bring about increased productivity, meaning you're putting out more widgets in a faster time frame, getting the product to the customer faster, and so forth. That is something that you should capitalize on with your sales department, with your marketing department. A lot of this information that's happening within projects isn't getting transferred to the right departments to start capitalizing on these benefits. And that's part of that's part of benefits realization, is transferring the benefit to the right party. But really, everybody in the organization has to get on board with this plan. I apologize for my throat. I have a little bit of laryngitis. But really, this needs to be a top-down situation. If we're going to demand benefits realization from our project managers, everybody in the organization needs to be on board. That project manager has to be able to say to the sales director, here's something we learned in this project, take it and run with it. Go tell all your customers that these are the new stats, I apologize for that. Or, even communicating with the marketing department. Everybody has to be, on the same team. And so benefits realization does not work in organizations that are where we have silos and where functional managers are very territorial about the departments. Who are you, project manager, to tell me that I need to start doing this with my sales team or my marketing team? That kind of attitude is not going to work in an organization that wants to maximize project benefits. So it really needs to come down from on high that somebody, the CEO, somebody in management or executive management says, this is how we're going to do things from now on. So not only do the employees need to have buy-in, but certainly management needs to have buy-in too. We are truly missing the boat and missing lots of opportunity by not doing things this way. Projects, successfully delivered projects, when we put these structures in place and we help our project managers out, when we help our project managers out, they do wonders for us in our organizations. So we have to give them the support that they need. But then when we provide that structure and we say, let's start focusing on benefits realization, the benefit to the organization beyond delivering a successful project exponentially increases when you can also successfully deliver project benefits, and it gets absorbed into the other parts of the organization, such as the marketing department or the sales department. So that's why they call these benefits, is because they truly are hugely beneficial to the organization. Here's an example of program lifecycle and benefits management. Notice that this is as we're designing a program or a project, we're going, it's kind of like a timeline, you know, going left to right. So at the top you have pre-program preparation. Okay, we're starting the process of, at the same time, identifying potential benefits for this project. And the purpose of identifying benefits is to analyze all the available information about the organizational and business strategies, internal and external influences on our project or program, program drivers, why are we even doing this program or project, in order to identify and qualify the benefits that the stakeholders of the project are expected to realize. And when I say realize, I mean deliver. So when we talk about stakeholders, stakeholders are anyone that could be impacted by the project. Let's go back to my Ford Bronco example. If you're building the Ford Bronco, who are the stakeholders? The stakeholders are, of course, the board of directors of Ford Motor Company, the executive management, everybody who's involved in that project and up and down the chain of command, the people who are building the vehicle, the subcontractors who are supplying the parts, suppliers, on down to the dealers who will be selling the vehicle and the customers who will be purchasing that vehicle. They're all stakeholders. Now, that doesn't mean that every single stakeholder who could be impacted by this project is going to help you manage the project or help you work on the project or help you make decisions about the project. That is not the case. But when we talk about stakeholders, that's who we're talking about. Everybody has a stake in this project being successful because they will be impacted by it. All of those stakeholders I just mentioned will be impacted by this project. Let's say you do a poor job with quality in building this Bronco. The end user customer is going to be impacted by that because there's going to be a recall and they have to bring their car in. The dealership is going to be impacted by that because they have to handle that. So that's why we have to consider all the stakeholders as we're planning any project or program. We don't necessarily get them at the table and ask their opinions, but what we do is we do things like, or we hire companies that do focus groups, and those focus groups will ask questions about, well, what do you want in the new Ford Bronco, and what would you like to see? And And that information goes into the design. Okay, so when we're identifying benefits, we think about all the possible benefits that could come out of this project. And benefits identification will continue, even though this doesn't necessarily show it on this screen, but it will continue throughout the project, because at every stage of the project, new information comes about. So we can continue to add to our list of benefits as we find out that new information. Okay, so then we go into where we are starting to initiate the project or program. We move into benefits analysis. This is where we're trying to move into kind of segregating these benefits. And we're sort of columnizing these, or developing a matrix. And this matrix would be financial and non-financial benefits. So we'd separate them out into these categories. And the non-financial would be things like, what is the benefit to our customer? What is the benefit to our organization when it comes to learning and growth of our employees, our talent pool? What is a benefit to maybe improving our processes through continuous process improvement, or maybe even developing new processes that we hadn't had prior. Then we go into benefits planning. So once we have our benefits identified and we categorize our benefits and prioritize them, we then go into benefits planning. So it's kind of like risk management, where we're looking at some of our positive risks. So we call those opportunities, and we go after those opportunities. So here's benefits where we've identified these potential benefits. Benefits planning is, how do I make sure that that happens? So just like in my project plan, I'm going to say, here's my scope and this is what I'm supposed to deliver here. How do I make sure I deliver that by the end of this project? We would do the same thing for benefits. You're going to plan how you're going to make sure that those benefits are delivered. What is the plan to make sure that that happens? So it's literally writing a plan or mapping it out, how you're going to make it happen. And then through the execution of the project, you get benefits realization. Those benefits, because you're following your plan, you've done all the pre-work, those benefits come to be realized. They actually, you deliver on those benefits. The company, gets the benefit from all your work. And then when the project closes out, we transfer those benefits so that they continue on. For example, I'll go back to the, hey, we put in this new equipment and now we can produce these widgets faster, and so we can improve our customer base and we can ship out, sooner. Hey, sales team, let your customers know. Okay, so we're transferring that benefit onto the sales team so that they can then either, work with marketing to add it into the marketing stuff, change the web wording on the website, or whatever it is, so that the benefits continue. That piece of information where we're processing faster, if I didn't have the conversation with the sales team, that benefit gets lost. It drops off. Nobody hears about it. And that is exactly what's happening in so many organizations right now. We're losing the opportunity to maximize these benefits. This is a benefits register. So this is where you would keep your information. There's a couple things, even though this is an example, there's a couple columns that aren't on here too that I would recommend that you add. And that is the category that it falls under. Remember, we have to kind of categorize it between financial and non-financial. So that would be, what is the benefit to the customer? What is the benefit to the employees? So that would be growth and learning. And then what is the benefit to our processes? So which category does this particular benefit fall into? So definitely add that to your benefits register. But this is basically what it looks like. You would kind of do it like any metric or measurement that you want to accomplish. You would lay it out in the same way. This is just a way to track, the benefits for the project or program. In addition to a benefits realization plan, you might also consider a benefits sustainment plan. This is where the benefit continues. In fact, some outputs of some projects could be inputs of different projects, and that would be part of a sustainment plan as well. So this is where we would take those benefits and we find out things again through our projects, and we don't do a good job in transferring that stuff. So your benefit sustainment plan could talk about, we were doing this project and we learned that we have this current procedure, and if we change the procedure, we can save 15 minutes per hour and we can produce more widgets. Okay, that's great. And it's all in your head until you write it down and submit it and actually see the changing of that procedure through to the end. So that is part of this sustainment plan. You have to be able to report out this information so that people can make good decisions and actually put these new policies, procedures, protocols in place immediately. Implementing the project structure change. So again, you're learning a lot of things about how the organization does projects. Maybe you're finding out that the way you're doing projects is wrong. Maybe you need a new tool. So making that suggestion at least and fighting for that to enhance how you do projects in the organization. Let's see. Oh, how about this at the bottom? Monitoring the usefulness of the delivered product. What if we find during the course of developing these widgets that the widgets are also good for other things that this particular customer hadn't even considered using it for? Again, passing that information on to others, making sure that people are hearing you so that the company could benefit. This is something the company already does, it already produces. Wouldn't it be great to open it up to a whole new marketplace? Okay. So again, organizations have to be willing to hear about these benefits too. Everybody needs to be on the same page. We also want to include, what supports are in place to keep the benefits going. So our sustainment plan needs to talk about that, and if there's any gaps in those supports, so that we can put those supports in place. And also, the sustainment plan you might want to include when and how often will the benefits need to be updated in order to meet new tech. So this could be a computer software, program or fixes to existing software or technology. So how do we start the process? Well, it really is based on mission, vision, values, and strategies. Before we decide whether or not we should even do a project at all in the first place, we should ensure that it aligns with these 4 components: the organization's mission, vision, values, and strategies. In the same way that when we're identifying our benefits, we should be looking for benefits that also fit in with our mission, vision, values, and strategies. That alignment is really important in order to have the support that you need. So let's do an example here. I've got some customer information. This is a pretend company. And you've got the vision, mission, corporate strategies there on the slide. And I'm also going to read you just a very brief, I'll let you read this slide, and then I'm going to read you a brief outline of the company. Okay, so just a brief outline. SMB Solutions is an international company operating out of the Metro Detroit area of Southeast Michigan in the United States that specializes in organizational development, executive coaching, and helping companies engage and retain employees. This company offers a members-only website, access for free, full of resources, as well as a 24/7 call center to provide immediate assistance and coaching over the phone or through a web chat feature on its website. The company's employees speak several languages in order to offer services around the globe. With the infusion of the millennial generation into the workforce and soon the Generation Z community, SMB Solutions has experienced recent growth, period. The demand for services has increased tremendously over the last 5 years as leaders have grown frustrated with how to manage a multi-generational workforce. Companies are no longer able to retain employees longer than a few years at a time, which has resource and turnover costs skyrocketing like never before. Companies are desperate for solutions on how to work with and keep younger, talented employees, and they are turning to SMB Solutions for help. SMB Solutions expects its recent growth to continue as more and more companies are coming to the realization that they need help in making much needed transitions. Okay, here's that's their, this is what they do. We've got kind of a current status of the company. And so we're trying to think of ways to improve our organization, like what projects do we want to take on? So one of the projects we consider is to translate our online training into Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, and Hindi. Okay, so this is going to give us a more global presence. Going back to this, more global presence. Of course, we want to grow. It's part of our vision. Our vision is a forward-facing, future-facing thing. It's like, if my company grew up, what would it want to be when it grows up? Okay, so that's what the vision statement is. The mission statement is, what do we do right now? And the corporate strategies are usually, how do we get from where we are to the vision statement? That's usually how it works. So I think we can all agree that this particular project falls within our vision, mission, and corporate strategies. All right. So now we have our project identified. We're going to work through that project and plan that project. In doing so, we're also going to be planning for project benefits. So here's a simple, of course yours will probably be much more detailed. And remember, I didn't include the category that these benefits fall in either. Very simple little spreadsheet on our benefits register, basically is what this is, project benefits register. So with that information, and knowing that we're going to be translating our courses into those languages, remember what those languages are, Spanish, Arabic, Chinese, and Hindi. We are trying to hit the most populous groups in the world. You know, India now has, I think, over 1 billion people. We know China has over 1 billion people. A lot of people around the globe speak Spanish. We already have English in there. And then we have added Arabic. Okay. So think about when we deliver this project and we've translated all of our courses, think about some of the project benefits that are going to come out of that. Now, if you have anything, if you guys want to think about some benefits and add them, or, you know, let me know what they are. You can either put them in the chat box or turn off your, unmute yourself and tell me out loud. You can. What do you guys think are some of the benefits? This is just a little exercise in helping you identify benefits. Maybe if you don't think of it as benefits, you think of it as outcomes, positive outcomes to this. I'll just give you an opportunity. I mean, maybe you don't have any ideas and that's fine, but I want to give you the opportunity to think of something. Okay. Oh, can reach more people. Yes, reach more people, increase training numbers, reach those you couldn't before. Absolutely. Absolutely. So those are great benefits. And these are the kind of benefits that will transfer or translate into long-term benefits. So we're not just doing a benefit, an immediate benefit that, okay, it's going to be very short-lived. This is something that's going to benefit us over and over and over. If you know anything about online training, you create one training and you throw it up on the website, and as long as it remains current, you're able to serve people over and over and over and over and over and over, and your numbers just, skyrocket as far as the number of people who viewed your training. So one small effort, and not all of online trainings are small efforts, but one small effort can benefit you well down the road. Well, when you make those translations, it benefits. So we're translating into 4 other languages. You can now take that number and basically multiply it by 5 because now we have 5 languages here, English plus the new 4 that we're doing. Okay, so I've done a sample here, sample benefits register of some of the benefits that I came up with, which are similar to the ones that you mentioned, Renee. So here's what I have. Increase the global audience. Okay, so that is a benefit that we've identified, but now we have to do something to it. Now we have to hold ourselves accountable, and this is part of the planning, not just identifying the benefit, but now part of the planning is how do we make sure that we deliver this? Well, in order to hold ourselves accountable, we usually have to add a metric to it. We have to add a target to it. We have to really flesh it out and say, how are we going to even tell if we've reached this benefit? Okay, so we have to add some things here, and that's what the rest of the columns are for. So the metric that we're going to be using is the number of foreign users, okay, which we can tell through our data analytics on our website. Okay. The measurement tool, yes, the online registration information and data. So we'll be able to tell what country they're coming from. We'll ask the question when they register, we'll ask the question, what language do you see, what is your primary language, and so forth. Now our target is to increase our foreign users by 10%. And what I didn't put here is by when, okay? So this is going to be within 1 year after launch. So you also have to put that information in there. What is the time frame? Within 1 year after launching the newly translated courses, we plan to increase our foreign users by 10%, which could be low or could be a high number, depending. You have to do what's realistic. Make sure these goals that you're setting here are SMART goals. Specific stands for specific, measurable, achievable, relevant or realistic, and time bound. Okay, and then we have to add some accountability here. We can't just say, yeah, let's do it, and not give anyone the responsibility for making sure it happens. Okay, so yes, IT is going to implement the translated courses. They're going to throw them up on their website. And then we're going to start marketing ourselves in other languages, okay, and sending that out to these other countries. Okay, so that's one benefit. And again, there's a little bit of information missing here. There's the time frame missing. There's the category missing. But I think you get the gist. Here's another benefit. Of course, financially, it's going to increase revenue. At least we think so. Of course, there's a lot of upfront costs to doing these translations. But ultimately, we'll be making that back. We've done our research to ensure that. So there's always going to be financial benefits, but we almost always focus only on the financial. I don't want to focus only on the financials, which is why I put a variety in here. Okay, so yes, this is a financial benefit. we're going to use the fact that our customer base increases, okay? We're again going to look at how is our customer base increasing based on this data that we collect upon registration with our website. And we expect a 5% increase in revenue. And again, I did not put in here over the next year after launch. Whose responsibility is it? Again, it's IT's to implement the courses, and it's marketing people to market these courses in different languages. So the brochures need to be translated and so forth, and to send them out to the right people. Okay, the third benefit, develop and perfect the translation process. You have to expect that in the beginning of your project, as you're, trying something for the first time, it's going to, you're going to take a little bit longer. You're going to have some stumbling blocks and so forth. So you have to expect that some things are going to happen. As we move forward, and let's say we have, 100 courses that we're going to translate, by the time we get to that 50th course, we should have this down to a science. So we're going to, in this project, we're going to end up developing and perfecting this entire process. So there's a whole new process that we're doing here. We're adding a process to our organization. So we want to make sure that that process is written and published. Okay. What is the measurement tool? Because we're going to see it written and published. 100%, I mean, it's going to happen. Some things you really just can't measure. We just have to make it happen. And this is, IT, again, is going to probably have to write out what that process is, and management will have to approve the process and then communicate that to the company in its entirety. Okay, and lastly, we have establish this translation expertise. Okay, so we're developing a kind of a new niche here for our organization. We're developing this translation process. So let's say there's another organization that are similar to us, and they also want to do translation. If we have the capacity to do it, it's an additional revenue stream. This could be something we hadn't even considered before, which is using our talents as to translate online courses for other people. It still kind of falls within our mission, vision, and values, in that we are helping the global community in the workforce. We're just not all doing it through exclusively our own trainings. Okay, so, and we're also establishing this translation expertise for our own selves as well, for our own company, to be able to say that we have this expertise. We've only chosen 4 languages here, but there's a lot more that we could, in the future be translating to. So how do we know this? Because we're repeating this over and over. We're repeating this process. There really isn't a measurement tool. There really isn't a target. And this likely will be IT marketing to market that message, and also using a special translator, all these different languages that we have. Okay. The benefits delivery plan and sustainment plan. You follow these plans the same way you would the project plan. In fact, you'll be following these in tandem. Again, added pressure to a project manager. Managing a project and following that project plan you've had to write, along with these plans that you've had to write, is hard enough. And that's why we need that structure and framework in place that really supports our project managers. But now to add this pressure on top of it is really a lot. But it can be done. We just have to be focused on making sure that we're developing these plans and then following the plans. It's a lot easier to do it that way. I know it's a lot of time invested in the development of the plan, but it's a lot easier once the plan is developed to then just execute what's in the plan than having to second guess yourself throughout the process. Okay. So this is a really, really sad statistic. And it's because we have to make sure that all these other things are in place first. Again, it's very hard to expect benefits delivery, benefits realization, if you don't have any of the other project management tools in place that project managers need. Such as the training and all those things that I mentioned earlier. The training, the supports. However, for those organizations who are using benefits management and are experiencing greater project success, you can see these stats. And this makes total sense to me because in order to deliver benefits, our projects need to run better. And we have to think beyond just delivering our project results, but we have to achieve a whole separate set of deliverables known as benefits. So look at these major stats here. 33% more meet original goals and business intent. 33% more projects. 43% more are completed within budget. Budget's usually the first thing to go. I mean, and time. Time and budget, they just go hand in hand. 58% more are completed on time. 30% fewer experience scope creep, which is affects budget and time. 35% fewer are deemed failures. Wow. So if we were to develop our framework for projects properly to give our project manager support, and we're to institute benefits realization into our organization, that number of project failure goes from 75%, you can chop off 35% of that right away, okay, according to this. So now we're at 60% success rate, which I know doesn't sound like a lot, but it's actually going to save an organization millions and millions of dollars. IT projects alone, when IT projects go over budget, they usually go over budget by 300%. So it's a big problem. If you can chop that success rate down or failure rate down from 75 to 40% failure rate, you really are doing yourself a great service. And it just takes some initial work to set up that framework, which we can help you, by the way. So this is an example of that framework that I'm talking about. You know, the consideration for stakeholder needs, giving people the tools and techniques, so the training that they need, making sure that we're paying attention to the 10 knowledge areas so that we can develop this project success. And there's, again, so many non-project managers and without the training, are doing project management work. Organizations aren't taking the time to set up the proper project management structure and framework to support their work and allow them to be more successful. It can happen, though. I mean, it can happen. It is happening. I see it every day when I go and work with different organizations. Okay, I wanted to ask you, the audience, if you have any questions for me that I haven't been able to answer. Again, you can ask audibly, or you can do it in the chat box. And while you're thinking about that, I just wanted to say, don't forget that these Power Hour trainings are available in full day or multiple day sessions. It doesn't matter where you're located in the country or even out of the country, we can definitely make it happen. To book one of these trainings for your group, all you have to do is simply request information, again, from the same resource from which you received information about this training. Any questions? Okay, it looks like we're ending a little bit early today.